ॐ वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा लम्बोदर नमस्तुभ्यं सततं मोदकप्रिया निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा हरि ओम. Namaskar and welcome to Hinduism in Focus. We are continuing our discourse on the Srimad Bhagavad Geeta, chapter 7, verse number 16, which we started yesterday. And we started this because in the context of us welcoming a new calendar year. And we took time off to extend best wishes to all our listeners and indeed to the general Hindu community and our country at large. And we were seeing how universal is the idea of resolutions in the context of the Bhagavad Geeta, making it universal, and that whatever every single human being is pursuing, any nook and corner of this universe, that Bhagavan has made it not only a new year idea or activity, but that it can be done anytime and whenever the devotee fervently, sincerely decides to make a change for the better of himself, for his own upliftment spiritually, then that is the new beginning. Not necessarily on the change of the calendar. But since the calendar has changed and we welcome the new year, it is then applicable for us to discourse on the particular verse. And in this verse, what is happening? Bhagavan Sri Krishna is showing that every person, whatever they desire, they are good in they are right, they are virtuous and good in their own way. And therefore, they also have a place in the universe. And that it is not the duty of you and I to judge anyone on the basis of their desires. And if the desires have negative consequences, they will have to suffer that. And if the desires have good impact, good effects, then they will enjoy it. But whatever is desired by anyone, it can befall in one of four categories. The first three are temporary, but the last one is the ultimate one. But the first three represents the road that the devotee or the worshipper or the sadhaka, the seeker, has to travel before he reaches the ultimate category, which makes him one with the source that actually provides or fulfills the first three categories of desires. Listen to this. So the first three categories of desires or people who have a certain type of desires these desires are really the pathways to get to the source that is supposed to fulfill these first three desires. So we have to use these desires to meet Bhagavan, who is the source or the fulfiller of these desires. But we will not reach there overnight. It goes through a process of constant birth and death and of refinement of our inner self. So what are the first three? Yesterday we did the first one. Today we will look at the second one and possibly the third. Let us take the shloka number 16 of the 7th chapter. Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritino arjuna arto jajana surartharti janani cha bhagatarshapha. Bhagavan says that the four virtuous type of people who worship me, O Arjun, are one, the man in distress. And we spoke yesterday about this. Please go and listen to yesterday's discourse on our social media platform. And the second is the man seeking knowledge. So all those who have triumphed or who are seeking to triumph their difficulty, free themselves from their distress, free themselves from whatever challenge they have, that's the first type. That resolution, that desire certainly can be met. We saw in Draupadi's case, when everything failed her, everyone failed her, she remembered Krishna and he came to free her from her distress. And that was not the only time in the Mahabharata. When Duryodhana had sent Durvasa to meet the Pandavas in exile, and Durvasa, if he is not pleased, he can bring destruction to you. Duryodhana knows that they will not be able to please Durvasa, so therefore he sent Durvasa there, under the guise that he is sending Durvasa, the sage, to bless his cousins, the Pandavas. Durvasa and his disciples were on their way to the hut of the Pandavas. Everyone had finished eating that evening. Draupadi had finished washing the utensils. Durvasa is making his way to the hut. She knows that if Durvasa is not taken care of, he can give a sharp that could further bring down or bring destruction on the Pandavas and their lot. She had nowhere to turn. In exile, food is not always readily available. You have to chase food. So the day has already come to an end. What did she do? She remembered Krishna once again in her lowest moment of depression, her lowest moment of sadness, her lowest moment of challenge, of difficulty, of distress. She closed her eyes and she remembered Krishna. When she remembered Krishna, Krishna came to her and Krishna said, there is one grain of rice in that utensil, give it to me. She said, but I have already washed them. I have already washed them, that there is none there. Krishna said, there is, you bring it. And she went and checked, and indeed there was. And Krishna ate that one grain of rice, and the entirety of Sage Durvasa's disciples, including himself, they were filled and they made a different route and they went away. This is the true demonstration of he who is in his challenging moments and his lowest moments. If he give himself over, give his mind over to Bhagavan, help does come. But he must also make efforts at the same time to change his lot, to overcome with his effort and with the grace of Kripalu, the gracious one, Bhagavan. Then he will triumph. And this is the ideal thing that Sanjaya said in, the most popular verse of Bhagavad Geeta, one of the most popular, is the last verse that is cited, verse number 78 of the 18th chapter, where Sanjaya spoke of the glories of Krishna, of his own conviction, having himself heard from Bhagavan the entirety of the Bhagavad Geeta. He is convinced of one thing. And what is that one thing he is convinced of? Amongst others, most importantly, this is what he says. And we know this verse, but it is very necessary to reference it here, just to show you that success, triumph, depends on the combination of our own efforts and the grace of Bhagavan. Being conscious that it is by his grace all of this is happening. By His grace, every challenge is overcome, and that we are a vehicle to do the action. Sanjay is convinced of this, having listened directly from the lips of Bhagavan. And if Sanjay is convinced by listening to Bhagavan, then what doubt should be there? We are convinced of some things by listening to an expert. For example, if you go to a barrister or to a lawyer on a particular legal issue, based on his knowledge and expertise in the law, he convinces you that this is the path. This is the right thing. If you go to a doctor with a medical issue, that doctor convinces you this is the right way, and you are convinced. So if we are convinced with the normal things of life, the normal sciences, the normal transactional expertise in the universe, you have an issue with your building, you go to an engineer or a carpenter or a mason if it's an issue to deal with their area of expertise. What about now? If you hear from Param Purushottama Bhagavan Shri Krishna, the Supreme Lord of the universe, you hear directly from Him on scriptural matter, on the revelation of the scripture, then why there should be a doubt about Sanjaya's conviction? Hear what he says. Yatra yogeshwaraha Krishno yatya parto dhanurdharaha tatra srir vijayo bhutir dhruva nitir matir mama. Sanjay says that yatra yogeshwaraha Krishno, that where there is Krishna, who is Yogeshwar, the Lord of Yoga, meaning the Lord of the path, the path and the goal. He is the ultimate one, Yogeshwara. That where this Yogeshwara's grace is, and wherever is yatra parto dhanurdharaha, where is Partha is Arjuna, the wielder, dhanurdharaha, the wielder of the bow. The wielder of the bow means that Arjuna was an expert in warfare with the bow. He was an expert in his field, meaning a man of action, ready to do his work. So wherever the human being is ready to do his work, ready to do his action, and that person readily submits that action to Bhagavan, Yogeshwaraha. This is the two things that must come together now. If they are separated, the work will be dry, it will bring no pleasure. That is the problem in this world. People separate the work as this is my work, has nothing to do with grace. And other people says, oh, only by grace I am doing this, and they do nothing. That person will get nothing because he's doing no action. He's depending on the grace to bring him something at his door. It will not work. And the person who is doing all the action and denying the grace, that person gets no pleasure and joy from his work. That is why a person could have anything, but there is no joy from it. But to have the joy and the true success and triumph of it, the action and grace must combine. So, yatra yogeshwara Krishna, yatya partha dhanurdhara. That where is Krishna, where is the partha, the one to do the action. Tatra sri vijayo bhutir dhruva nitir matir mama. That there will be prosperity, there will be victory, there will be expansion, there will be good policy. Such, she says, dhruva nitir matir mama. This is my conviction. Sanjay is convinced. So one has to be ready to do the work and be doing this work in true consciousness of the higher grace and presence of Bhagavan. And then there will be triumph. Then there will be success and victory. And therefore, the first category of the bhakta or the seekers of Bhagavan with a certain type of desire, they can be fulfilled when they are properly done, they're properly sought after, and that is action and grace, consciousness of the Lord and willingness to do the work. This is the combination. And those who desire to be successful and to to conquer their difficulty, this is the method as the Bhagavad Gita gives. Tomorrow when we meet, we will continue from here. Until then, may grace of Bhagavan be with all of you. Jai Sri Krishna.